I will carry on.
I'll make it.
So, I'll go back to the horns of the bison. So this is very precious because the tree, the ironwood, grows on its own in a few specific regions. And you will find one on its own, and within 50 miles there will be another one. So it's very sparse. West Australia, Cape, in South Africa, and a few other places I bought. But that's why I bought it. Lovely. Anyway, let's get back to the object of the exercise, as we say. Now, many years ago, I went to Rhodesia. I went there on the day after I got married. So, I got married at a sumptuous wedding at Vedala. And the next day, people who were invited approached my wife and said, "Where's Norman?" "Oh, he's off to Rhodesia." And Rhodesia was in the news, terrorists and all that. So I went there. It was a 17-hour trip because our plane, South African, had to go round the bulge because of sanctions. So we couldn't go through. So went there, round the bulge, landed at Capo Verde Islands, these small specks there, and I was impressed. The Capo Verdeans, very short, ugly people, and I noticed that in the Portuguese incidentally, in the foyer of the little airport, all shelves empty. Communism, you see. Today they are luxurious hotels and all that. The difference between free enterprise and communism. Anyway, so went round the bulge, 17 hours, and got to Johannesburg, where my Chuan Show instructor, who had emigrated to South Africa, welcomed us and spent a lot of time, weeks in fact, taking care of us, crisscrossing South Africa. Yes. It's true, I am getting old. After a few weeks in South Africa, we decided to go up north to Rhodesia, which was under heavy pressure, 80 million blacks supported by communists, Chinese, and Russians, and these 320,000 whites stood firm and resisted. And I wanted to see what the white man could do, even though outnumbered 80 million versus 320,000. And the Rhodesians were giving a very good fight. So went there and landed in Salisbury, in Rhodesia, and stayed at the Jamison Hotel. Then we decided to go up north to the Victoria Falls. A splendid hotel, the Victoria Falls Hotel, over the Victoria Falls, these splendid falls, you know. And while there, we met what the Rhodesians used to call a stick. A stick consisted of 4 men, each specialized. Man with the radio, the other one a doctor, because the first 12 minutes of a wounded man, the first 12 minutes are crucial to save him. So there would be a doctor, and there would be a tracker. So the helicopters or whatnot would pinpoint a terrorist group, and they would rush there, the stick. The tracker would oversee the surrounding, the fire, and he would paint a picture. How many they were, their morale, whether it was up or they were down. He would absolutely paint a picture. That's the tracker. And we befriended these. And at one point, the next day, I said, "Excuse me, but I would like to meet a shaman, a real shaman, a witch doctor, you know." "Oh," they said, you came at the right place. Because just 10 miles away, there's this shaman, well known throughout southern Africa, who lives as a recluse in the deepest bush. And you should go and meet him. So we drove 10 miles or something deeper in the... And we came to a small clearing. And there was a hut, a bamboo hut. And through the cracks of this bamboo, one could discern somebody, a black man. There was a child running around, getting him this or that, telling the visitors to wait their turn. And there was a small aperture in this hut, through which one crawled in on all fours and found this man. There was a Tutsi, short people who went to hide up in the mountains, Swaziland. He was a mux Tutsi, Swazi, sorry. He was a Swazi. They went up the mountains, Swaziland is mountainous, as you know, to escape from the Zulus or Indabele, because they would eat them if they would catch them, you know what I mean? They were on the menu. And he was there squatting, rarely came out of this hut, rarely. And I went in, and the first thing I told him was, I come here with the best of intentions. I know your reputation throughout Southern Africa, and I want you to tell me my destiny. And he said, where do you come from? I said, Malta. Obviously, I'd never heard of it. He said, whatever. So he took a bunch of bones, very much like Bourbon, the Bourbon biscuits, same color, six-sided, and said, let me see. He did this, and threw it on the ground. As soon as he did that, I could see that his attitude changed. He said, you are a great man. I said, what? I said, nobody has ever told me that, not even my wife. And he said, let us continue. 6 times. The permutations were really 6-sided bones and all that. He said, you are a great man. I said, just a lowly bank manager. No, I've been doing this 30 years, and this is the first time this permutation came like this. You're a great man. No, I can't believe that. He said, if you're not, you're going to be very great. Are you the head of a corporation inherited by your father or something? I said, oh, no. He said, but I'm convinced you are going to achieve greatness. And he was convinced of my future breakthrough. Myself, I was still unaware, più perplesso che mai, of this thing. Back in Malta, I came to meet my family, my wife and my child, and slowly, over some few months, the idea started germinating. Of course, there was a predisposition, like a woman who has what we call a cryptic pregnancy, where she's pregnant, but she doesn't know it till the very end of labor. On the very day she's delivering, then she realizes that she was pregnant all along, you see. The gestation period, as we say, the shaman recognized the idea at its conception, at its gestation period. 3 months later, this cryptic pregnancy within me took form amidst stress, excitement, great excitement, a germinating phase, a struggle, germination, growing form, gestation, the idea. This idea of the white race together worldwide. I spoke about this in one of my speeches at Berchtesgaden in Germany, which you can find on Odyssey. Norman Lowell speaks at Berchtesgaden. Today, this truth, which has finally emerged, it's out of the bottle. Anyone who is anybody knows about it. Imperial Europa. The shaman perceived this at its inception, at its gestation period. Io sono il prediletto, the bearer of this great idea. The shaman was right at the very inception, because these blacks, once in a while, in millions, 1 in a million, are endowed with a perception of all I have spoken. I've never spoken about this ever, but now that I'm relinquishing to that, I think I should actually divulge this. Never spoken about it. So there it is. But the shaman, at inception, the conception, he realized. And he insisted that I'm a great man after all.